I am Hanna Birkenkötter. I am an assistant professor of international law at the Instituto Tecnológico Autónomo de México in Mexico City, also known as ITAM. So originally I am from Germany, and before moving to Mexico City, I was at Humboldt University in Berlin. That's where I did my PhD. And during my PhD, I also went to NYU Law School for a year in New York City. I was also a postdoctoral Emile Noel Fellow there, but unfortunately during the pandemic, so during that time, I did not relocate to New York City again. So my research interests are in general international law, but I am mostly interested in the United Nations. So my main research focus is on the United Nations, and that includes how the UN system has evolved over the past 80 years of its existence. And crucially, I am interested in what role it plays in shaping international legal concepts and how that impacts international relations. Obviously, as it nears its 80th birthday, the UN is facing numerous challenges. It was built on the prohibition of the use of force. And over the last couple of years, we have seen two wars that are preoccupying many international lawyers, the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza. But there are also many other armed conflicts that are perhaps not so much on everybody's radar or not so much on everybody's radar anymore. Just to mention a few: Yemen, Syria, Libya, Sudan. Those are obvious challenges for the United Nations. So in this context, I think it's particularly important to highlight how different UN entities have been crucial in upholding international standards. This year, I'm specifically thinking about the UN's principal judicial organ, the International Court of Justice, and the renewed attention it has gotten through the lawsuits relating to the wars both in Ukraine and in Gaza. Lawsuits that have also empowered perhaps states that were not so present in litigation before. But I also want to consider other mechanisms, for example, the numerous special rapporteurs in the UN human rights system and other human rights investigation mechanisms. Those have been essential in fact-finding and documenting the commission of war crimes and other serious human rights violations. And they've also been important in speaking out in favor of international law, specifically international human rights. So yeah, that's my research agenda. I'm a bit of a UN documents nerd as well, and I'm currently looking at ways in which we can leverage new technology, specifically quantitative text analysis. So that's more or less what I work on. I guess like many people, I joined ESIL while I was doing my PhD. And I, in fact, presented a part of my doctoral research at the ESIL Research Forum in 2019. That was the first contact that I had with an ESIL, with an official ESIL event. And that was a great experience and motivated me to participate in more ESIL events. Then I was lucky to be selected to present some work that had come out of my PhD research at the ESIL General Conference in 2021 in Stockholm. And that turned into an article based on the feedback that I received at ESIL 2021. So for me, the society has really been a great way to connect and to sometimes also reconnect with colleagues, to discuss current issues of international law, to get feedback on my work, and to also learn about topics that are perhaps not squarely on my research agenda. And that's also where I see ESIL's greatest value. So I really see the society as a place where international lawyers from all over Europe and also beyond Europe come together and discuss pertinent topics of international law. I've also attended various events organized by different interest groups. I want to commend especially those events that have been held online and those interest groups that are offering events online. That's really great. So especially now that I'm in Mexico, I really benefit from those online events because it's not always possible for me, obviously, to travel to Europe. I've also organized events in the past that have gotten support from ESIL, and that's a great way to attract participation from the broader ESIL community and also showcasing the kind of work that you do. I feel it's difficult to boil it down to one message for ESIL members. I think it's obvious that we live in a time of profound change and also challenges to international law. And so now more than ever, I guess it's the time to exchange, to discuss, and perhaps specifically for a European Society of International Law, to also take a step back and to listen to ever more diverse voices and empower those voices that have not been ordinarily heard in international law. And I have gotten to know ESIL as an open space that reflects a great plurality of approaches to international law. So perhaps the one message that I have, especially to younger members of the society who are thinking maybe my work is not ready yet or who are shy to present their work, put yourselves out there. I do think that ESIL is a great place, use the research forum, use the main conferences to discuss issues of international law, and don't be afraid to raise critical points too. So I do think right now we are witnessing a point in time where international law as a discipline needs to interrogate its very foundations. So we need younger voices, we need critical voices more than ever. So that is perhaps, if there is a message, perhaps that is it.